excited are y'all to, to get rolling and actually play some basketball?
Too excited. We've been waiting for this, so I know we're prepared, excited, and ready.
Jamie, a lot more players to go up against you in practice. What's been the biggest difference you've seen in just having a bigger roster this year?
More breaks. Sometimes I'm tired and I'm like, ooh, I got a sub this year. So I think that's probably the best part.
Jana, you're one of the new ones here. I mean, what's that transition been like? I mean, obviously, there's several of y'all.
Yeah, the transition has been really easy, mostly because of my teammates and my coaches. They have been my second family, so it's been smooth and just really easy and nice.
Jamie, what are some of the similarities and differences between year 1 to year 2 at Baylor?
The difference is there is more people. I think similarities are we're still getting out running. We're still doing what she wants us to do. I think there's more rebounding guards this year. So I think that's a positive for us because last year we struggled. We had 3-point guards. And, we were used to always being the first ones back or grabbing the outlet. So I think that was a good thing for us this year.
Jana, what was it about Baylor that made you want to transfer here? Was it Nicki? Was it the program? What was it that made
Yeah, it was Coach Nicki and the program. I think as soon as I stepped foot on campus for my official visit, I just knew the culture was different, real, genuine, loving, and that was a high priority for me, choosing a new school. So, yeah, it was a pretty easy pick.
What do you see as your role, Jen?
Whatever coach tells me my role is my role. I'm always going to bring energy and leadership and hard work no matter what. So.
Jamie, what have you seen from these newbies?
Let's see. No, I see more positive energy. They want to be here. They came here for a reason. So I think that, we have more people cheering for us in practice now. And I think that, the energy is always great in practice now.
Jamie, what was the biggest thing that you kind of worked on this offseason? What are you kind of hoping to improve personally?
I'm working to improve on my threes more. I've been working on finishing higher on bigger people. I've been working on guarding drivers better. I was really good at guarding shooters, and I'm trying to, elevate my game a little bit more.
For both of y'all both experienced the transfer portal, and as big as that is now, what kind of advice would y'all give to people who are considering entering it? And was there anything that kind of came up that you weren't expecting?
For me personally, I would say have a plan. I think that I told myself that I was going to graduate first and I was going to have a good year. And I think graduating probably makes the process a little easier because it was for me. So I don't know.
I think after if you are in the transfer portal, you have experience with what you like and dislike at certain places. And so when you go into your journey in the transfer portal, you can really navigate what you want and what's genuine and what's fake, which happens a lot in the portal. So,
Jana, you've been a part of a national championship team. What are the qualities you see in this Baylor roster that remind you of that Stanford team that won a title?
Yeah, I think the defense, the energy, there's really not a comparison because every team is different, but I think that we're really good and we have a lot to bring to the table, so I'm excited.
Jamie, for you guys, Baylor's won, dozen Big 12 titles in a row, and yet, you guys were picked a little bit lower this year in the conference. Nicki's talked about, having an underdog mentality. Is that kind of the way y'all are approaching it?
Yes, I think pressure busts pipes. So, I'm just ready to bring the pressure.
Good.
Jamie, what does being on the Driscoll Award watch list mean to you?
I had asked Coach Nick, I was like, what is this? So it was new to me, and I think that I probably would have never been on something like that if I didn't come here. So I'm just really appreciative of Coach Nicki, putting me out there a little bit more rather than at my old school. It was kind of like one person, she puts all of us out there, and I think that she's looking out for everyone.
Jamie, in terms of now being in year 2 at Baylor, year 2 with coaching Nicki, what's that step forward you've been able to take
I think that now it's me helping everyone. You know, I came here a little later last year, so they were helping me, and I think I just took that same mentality to help Janet out or Bella, Dariana, and now that I'm one of the leaders, I think that I can lead in the right way.
What are y'all looking to get out of the exhibition game?
Everybody doing what they're supposed to do. Don't do what you don't do. You know, just play your game, calm down. You know, there's gonna be jitters. You know, we have 3 freshmen, we have more newcomers than returners, so you know they might be a little more nervous. And I think it's our job to say it's okay. You know, calm down. You know, if you miss a shot, I promise you it's okay. We all miss shots. You know, so I think that that's very important to be the leader and say it's okay.
Good job.
Thank you.
I'll be by for the food.
Nicki, are you as excited as they are?
Excited and scared. I think you're always you want your team to look good, and you know it takes time to really look good. But you also know everyone's judging where you're at. And so you are excited. You're excited to see if they start to put the pieces together, if they're ready to compete when the lights come on in the gym. You know, they're not going to take any opponent for granted. You know, I mean, this team needs to truly learn to be unselfish. And I don't mean that they're selfish kids, but learning to play. When you come to Baylor, like Jamie's sacrifice last year, she went from 17 points a game as a junior, you know, to under 12 as a senior, but she won a Big 12 championship. And that's what you have to make the decision to do when you come here. You have to sacrifice sometimes individual stats for team success and balance. And so just kind of getting everyone to understand that, you know, I've used this a lot with them, and I'm not saying this is normal, but no different than the NFL where they're going to find a good quarterback in you know, FCS or FBS. You know, like Queen Ego was a first-round draft pick and wasn't all league last year. So when you play in a good league for a good team that has a lot of eyes on it, you know, it's about prioritizing, you know, how can I help this team be successful? And so, you know, that's my job, certainly to get them to that place, but it takes time for them to even feel like they know how to integrate, what to do when. And, you know, the question was asked, like, what's Jana's role? I think the hardest part right now is that it's really easy to know what Jamie can do. It's really easy to know what Sarah can do. You know, I mean, those are 2 kids that right now, when you look at their points per shot, it's like 1.28 points per shot. Like, they've been consistently dominant, you know, all fall. But then when you're looking to pick a third starter on the perimeter, they all bring something different. And they have good practices and they have bad practice. They have great practices and average practices, you know. And I've been waiting for one of them to just string together a whole week of, okay, this is obvious, you know. And so there might be a little trial and error, but I also don't believe in dangling carrots. And so I'm not a big believer that you say, all right, whoever has the best week, I'm starting you. Because I think in the long run, it's about establishing roles and expectations, and players play better when they know, when they really, really know, and it's not every week another competition with my teammate, you know, for minutes. It's about, you know, preparing for whoever we're playing at that point.
Nicki, how important was that to get some like maybe bigger guards? Like when I mentioned, y'all didn't really have any rebounding guards last year. How big was that for you?
Yeah, it's important. I think, you know, we were really lucky last year. I mean, there's always multiple ways to look at it. The advantage that we had was we always had 3 players on the court that, you know, especially the 3 starters that shot 37% from the arc or above. And because of that, we had great spacing. Now, none of them were great offensive rebounders. None of them were consistent offensive rebounders. But we kept floor spacing for Queen and Liz and let them operate. And we had two dominant, more dominant defensive rebounders. I think when you don't shoot the basketball as well, you got to go get extra possessions. And so I think when you take a Bella Fauntleroy and play her at the 3, when you play Katarina at the 2 or the 3, both of those are tremendous offensive rebounding players. Bella's a go-get-it kid. I mean, she goes up in a crowd and it's like go gadget. And when people are coming down, she's still going up. Kat is almost like her name. She's just kind of quick to the ball and tips it and keeps plays alive. And so they do it differently, but, both consistently go. And so, just bringing tremendous energy. So I think it's opportunity to get extra possessions. And we may not be as dominant on the boards with our 4-5 at times. And so having a third person or sometimes a third and fourth that can help matters on the defensive end as well.
Is the thing that you're trying to identify or look for in a preseason game different when you have, Nalissa Smith and Queen Egg go back versus a roster where you have more people, but you have more new people as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's sure. I mean, look, last year was pretty clear very quickly. Here are our starters. Here's Caitlin's going to be our first sub off the bench. Jaden's going to be our second sub, guard sub. By late in the year, I knew Caitlin could play the 3, but I didn't know that early in the year, and I still kick myself for that because I actually think it cost us the Michigan game. Because by the time we played conference play, when we were getting hurt by a big guard like a Vivian Gray, we just put Caitlin at the 3, and, we made those players' lives miserable. But, early when it was Leah Brown, she got to her spots and she hit shots over us, and she was the difference in the Michigan game, which was obviously an overtime game. So, this year it's about figuring out, between injuries and other things, okay, who are we going to start? Who's going to play after that? Is Jana a better backup point guard or a complimentary little shooter off the bench than Jaden? And whether one of them's a starter and one of them's coming off the bench, who's the best person to play with Sarah? Who's the best person to back up Sarah? Like, there are so many more components than just who starts. It's who comes in first, and maybe it's not the same every game based on your opponent. But, just feeling like, and I've told them that's, you have to separate at some point. You have practice every day, and it's opportunity to separate and show me, whether you're someone that's going to play consistent minutes. Because we all know, even if I had 13 people that could play in the game, no one plays 13 people. I mean, no one usually goes past about 8 or 9. And so, there's going to be some tough decisions, and certainly all of them are going to play. That are capable of playing tomorrow, but we still need separation, and it may be a little trial and error early the first few weeks.
Do you approach that like tomorrow with an exhibition setting where you want to see everybody in game action, where I want to put certain players on minute limits or position groups, or do you approach it like a normal game?
No, you don't approach it like a normal game. We're playing for too much, and you can't prevent injuries. You could play a player 2 minutes and they can get injured. But I think you reach a point in a game where you say, Sarah doesn't need to be playing anymore. I mean, Asia doesn't need to be playing anymore because you can't get them hurt, and so you have to make those decisions. And you hope that they play well enough early that you're super comfortable making that decision. Because, we all probably saw the Louisville men's score. So, these games you think are a given, but a lot of times when you look at a lot of these games, a lot of the Power 5 teams aren't getting away right away. Sometimes they're not separating. I think Texas Tech went on a 15-0 run in the third quarter to create separation in their exhibition game. So sometimes it takes a little longer because everybody's getting their feet wet. Everybody's got jitters. Even Jamie will have jitters. I think she'll have fewer jitters than Jana. But I still think there's something to how you get juiced up, for your first home game of the season, regardless of opponent.
Nicki, identities are usually kind of formed over time, over the course of a season, but you were guessing at y'all's today on November the 2nd, what this team will be. What would you say? Best guess.
Yeah, best guess. We're just dealing with a lot of injuries right now, so it's a little harder right now. Like, we've had to really simplify, in my opinion, for this group because of some of the injuries we've had, and so as a result of that, I think we're going to be a team that really shares the basketball. We're going to play through Sarah and Asia a lot early on. I think Asia's learning to play a totally different style. And when the light bulb goes off, she's really good. I mean, and Liz was incredible. Asia's just as incredible, but in a little bit different way. Asia's doesn't have the float game, doesn't have the size and length of Liz, but she's powerful, and she plays in tight spaces really, really well. And she's a fantastic passer. I need her to be a little bit more unselfish. A little bit, exactly, I said that right. I was trying to check my words there. She wants to make great interior feeds, and sometimes you just need to take a three-point play, because she finishes so well through contact. So, I think those guys are going to get a lot of touches, and we need to play well off of them. I don't know if that's a good answer. I think we're going to play really hard on D. I don't know, we're going to be real connected at first on D. I think we've got a long ways to go to be really, really connected. We've got a lot of people learning philosophically what we do. We don't ball side help. We got a lot of people wanting to ball side help. Even though they know they're not supposed to, instinctually they're doing things that they've done somewhere else. And whether that's in high school, whether that's at another college, it takes time. I remind them all the time, like, for our guys that want to be in the pros, no one's ball side helping in the pros. No one. Not in the WNBA, not in the NBA. There are certain things that you do rotationally, you can ball side help if it's a non-shooter, but, really getting them to understand how committed we are to personnel, guarding people the right way based on what they do well. And I think that's the thing that kids that want to play at the next level, they consistently have to be challenged to understand who their opponent is and what they're good at, and so, I just think we have a lot of growth opportunities in that area.
Coach, heading into year 2, at this point, are you feeling less of the outside pressure or outside noise that you might have been feeling this time last year? How has that sort of shifted?
Yeah, I think I'm a little more settled. I think at this time of year, every coach is just worried about how their team's going to look. No one feels ready. I didn't feel ready last year. I don't feel ready today. You just got to let them grow up a little bit on the court and trust them a little bit and then fix mistakes after that, and I think that when it comes to this job, I think, our staff, having been together for a year now, we're certainly smoother in our operation and how we communicate and kind of understand expectations as a group. I think it's smoother from a day-to-day perspective in terms of what our responsibilities are. But, coaches are always, whether there's external pressure or not, there's always going to be internal pressure. I want our team to perform well. I like to be liked. But ultimately, I do it for that group of girls. And so as long as they know I've got their back and I know that I've got theirs, we got pretty good at not dealing with the outside noise. And I don't think that's going to change. I think if we take a couple hits early, there's probably going to be a lot of people, chirping. And we have to do what we've always done. And that's just find a way to get better so that when the game, when the games really, really matter, then we're ready.
Coach, a little bit along those lines, does it make your job a little easier when you've got players now that have been under you for a year? And so when you try to, get into other players, hey, I got you, that you kind of have that support.
There are things easier about it, for sure. And then, believe me, there's going to be plenty of times I'm like, boy, it'd be nice to have Melissa Smith right now. I'm not ever going to. The one thing people should realize about me is I rarely am fake. I know Melissa Smith was good. I know that at times, great players make great coaches. It's that simple. You can be a great coach, and if you don't have good players, you're only going to go so far in this profession. And so I think we've got a locker room full of really good players. But I obviously inherited the Wade Trophy winner a year ago, and so you kind of knew where you could go when you needed a bucket. And I think we've got multiple players that can do that this year. But you gotta grow in your role from Robin to Batman. And you've got someone in Asia that's like coming into a new situation, a new school with new teammates, and I want her to be a Batman, and it takes time to just be comfortable, even with what I'm asking her. And so it's hard to lead when you're pretty consumed with like, I just got to get this right myself first, and I think that's what Sarah did a year ago. She was just trying to get it right. And now she needs to be a leader of the returners plus, all these new guys. And I think Jamie does that naturally, but Jamie's pretty quiet, and so she's been challenged to like, how we scout, how we play. You're rarely in the wrong position. Tell everybody else what they're supposed to be doing, and so that's even a new role for her, that she's growing into.
I was going to ask you about Jamie. I mean, I think we might have gotten more words out of her up there than we did all year last year.
Yeah.
Does that translate to the court too, though? I mean, and I don't know that she lacked confidence last year, but she just seems like a different person right now.
Yeah, I think she knows. I think she feels a little bit more comfortable with me, comfortable with, Caitlin, it's funny. Caitlin keeps asking me, well, when are we going to put such and such a play in? And when are we going to put this play in? And I said, we don't have the same team. Like, I'm not saying there won't be certain actions that we add, but I also think, I didn't run a lot. I had a stagger play for Jamie, but we're running more action to get her shots, more flares, more pin downs, more staggers, because she's shooting the ball so well. So, a year ago, I didn't spend a lot of time making Liz a screener, and so this year, there are times when I've got kids out there that are screeners and rebounders, and they need to get Jamie open, and they need to get Sarah open, and they'll stay on the floor if they do a good job getting those two open, and so it's about, her rising. And I told her early on, hey, I ran maybe one play with a flare screen last year, and now we have multiple plays, but she's also a kid that's in the gym with me a couple times a week, and we're working on those shots because she's gonna get them. And so she has more confidence. She knows she's not, and I'm not saying she was ever, quote, the fifth option, but you could argue, that sometimes, Jordan and Sarah might get the top two defensive guards, and she got the third, and so she kind of knew that she wasn't maybe the primary option. And she just needs to be more aggressive this year because she definitely is more of a primary option.
What role do you see for Dariana, or is that still developing?
I think she's still developing that. I think she does some things instinctually. She's a good rebounder. She's going to have to be a little better screener. It's the physical game. That's the biggest jump, I think, for her is the physicality of the game. But she's going to play a lot of minutes, for sure, especially early on. She's a kid that is in good shape. She doesn't get tired easily. She competes. She doesn't take any bad shots. I mean, she does a little bit of everything. You look at the end of practice and, or a box score, and she's got 6 points and 7 rebounds and a couple steals, and she kind of knows how to get the ball. She's around the ball a lot. So, she's just got to get comfortable with where she can score consistently. And she can certainly roll behind and finish and slip and finish, but kind of getting her to her spots because she's not really a three-point shooter yet. She's more of a 15-foot shooter. So getting her to the short corner, getting her to the elbows, where her kind of kill spots, and her finding those in kind of the midst of how we play.
What do you expect to see from Southwest Baptist tomorrow?
It's hard. They have 11 new players on their roster. So, we're trying to go a little bit off of just the statistics of what they did either there or at whatever school they're transferring from. And so, because they have a ton of transfers, we think they can pretty much shoot it. All their guards are going to shoot it. They have a 6'6" center, so that'll bring a little size, which will be good. So they run a lot of high ball screen. They run some flares. They run a bunch of box sets. I mean, we're going to see a little bit of everything. They're going to compete, but it's hard to really know how this group will play together because when you watch from last year, it's like 4 of the 5 players out on the court aren't back. So you're stylistically saying, okay, this is what she's typically done as a coach over the years. So insert player. A, B, C, and D. But we're going to have to guard the three-point line. I mean, that'll be, I think, maybe the biggest test for us because they're going to consistently put 4 shooters on the floor.
Perfect.
You got it.